What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another live edition of the Patriots Beat Podcast here on the CLNS Media Network, presented by our wonderful friends over at Prize Picks. It's Brian Hines back as always with Alex Barth. Day 6 of Patriots training camp in the books. Day 2 in pads. We were back in full pads today. Another really steamy, hot one at Gillette today. Temperatures in the 90s, but full pads back on. Good intensity again. We got a little bit more red area work, a little bit more action though from Drake Maye and the quarterbacks that we'll talk about today. Of course, get into the trenches and what happened there. Some changes along the offensive line that were notable, but we got a little bit more throwing action. So we started with the trenches yesterday. We're going to start with the wide receivers today, mix things up a little bit. We had some couple nice touchdown grabs from some of those guys. A guy like Kyle Williams, I thought one of the more notable, playing a little bit more with Drake Maye and playing next to Stephon Diggs and Demario Douglas a lot today. Had a nice touchdown catch from Drake Maye. But Barth, what kind of stood out to you in that wide receiver rotation? And again, maybe some of those touchdown grabs, because they were doing a lot of work in the red area again with these full pads on today.
Yeah, I think when you talk about the rotation, it's Kyle Williams. And I don't know that he single-handedly replaced any one guy. I think sometimes he was in for Kayshon Boutte. Sometimes he was in for Pop Douglas, right? It's not like somebody is a little bit less for everybody and a little more just for him, which I think just means he's going to be more of a part of the regular rotation, not necessarily that he's passed anybody on the depth chart or anything like that. And that's, for a rookie, kind of what you expect. In terms of like the schematically, what I saw was really high level chemistry throws, whether it was timing, whether it was ball placement. Some of those throws in the back of the end zone showcased good timing between Drake Maye and Stephon Diggs and Kayshon Boutte and Kendrick Bourne. And then Javon Baker had a great catch from Josh Dobbs as well. So I think you see the chemistry coming along with Drake Maye. We do have a little bit of breaking news here. Maybe we can react to this.
What we got?
And I just lost it. Where'd it go? Oh, I know what it is. I can't remember who got it first, but I saw multiple people post it. Brock Lampy to IR, and this is season-ending IR, so he is done for the year.
A fullback. No.
So they're gonna. I know we were talking about this in practice. I thought maybe Lampy got cut because he wasn't out there. He must have gotten hurt during practice yesterday. My guess would be that they're going to add another fullback at some point. Like, I don't think you just go from having that fullback to not having a fullback. So why it wasn't 1-for-1, I'm not sure. Maybe they want to get guys in and work guys out, and they didn't have that short list ready yet. But yeah, if they're going to have that traditional Josh McDaniels fullback, I see people in the chat talking about Jaheim Bell. Jaheim Bell's an H-back. Jaheim Bell's not somebody you're sending into the A gap to lead the way and light up a linebacker. He's somebody you're putting in motion and throwing the football. So if you want that James Devlin, Jakob Johnson type, they don't have that player on the roster right now.
Yeah. And we did see today was when they didn't use the fullback a lot, like the traditional fullback, but the few times they did, it was Jack Westover. But again, that's more of that H-back tight end hybrid, not the traditional guy. So maybe they do go out and find another downhill kind of thumper like that to replace Brock Lampy there. That was to sign RJ Motton, linebacker. We still haven't seen Jelani Tavai the last few days since he left with what looked like re-aggravating that calf injury. So they had the roster spot with Lampy going on IR, and they signed Motton there. So hopefully the fullback comes back. I mean, you would think with how involved Lampy kind of was in the spring, and then even, in the first pad of practice, couple first days of camp, running a lot with the ones, and we just know Josh McDaniels' history, right? Like, you think that's something that they would go out and they wouldn't just completely change to like the Jaheim Bell or Jack Westover mold. They would want to go get that traditional guy. But I guess I don't even know who's out there. Like, I know Jakob Johnson's on a team. So you think you could find a downhill thumper fullback though out there if that's what they are looking for.
Yeah, I'd have to go look. I wonder if what was the kid's name? North Dakota State's fullback was in the draft this year, and he's also their long snapper. So you'd also get a backup long snapper in that deal.
That would be perfect. If only Bill was still here for that. Let's see, NFL.
I'll have to pull up his name. I can't remember. So Brant Queeth, I think, is on a team, right?
Believe so.
I think he got drafted. Hang on, I'm pulling up my list from before the draft. Robbie Oots obviously got drafted. The only guys I had on my list were Robbie Oots and Brock Lampy. Those are my only two guys to watch. I would say I nailed that. I wish I remember the name of the guy from North Dakota State, though. This is going to bug me.
So the only two fullbacks that were free agents that didn't sign were Adam Prentice and Robert Burns. Now they were not draft, but they were free agents. They're still out there.
So best I can tell, Hunter Brosio is a free agent.
Okay. So
or Brosio, whatever. That's a fullback name right there.
Hunter Brosio.
Yeah. Unless he went back to North Dakota State. It's tough to tell. There's not a ton of information on him.
I know. Some good live fullback Google searches. That really gets people going here. Great radio to kick this off, but some breaking news there with Brock Lampy, and it is the fullback. Come on, we think they're gonna have this fullback.
No, this is what this show is at its core. I mean,
exactly. Come on. Someone said Willie Lampkin on cut down day. Yeah, someone could shake free on cut down day.
Could be a cut down day guy.
That's another possibility. So we'll
I think that's where the third tight end's coming from. So.
Yeah. So
is Willie Lampkin in Green? Why do I think he's in Green Bay? No, he's on the Rams.
LA.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with the fullback there. But again, Brock Lampy officially going on IR, ending his season. So we'll keep.
Yeah, that's season-ending IR. That's not eligible to return IR.
Mm-hmm. So he is done for the year. But back to practice. We're talking wide receivers. Again, Kyle Williams noticeably more involved, a little bit more in that top group. We mentioned yesterday that there were like 8 receivers repping with Maye. It mostly was, it felt today, mostly Diggs, Pop, Kyle Williams, and Kayshon Boutte. Williams and Boutte rotating mostly at that X spot, but that seemed to kind of be the top 4. So giving the rookie some more opportunities, had a very nice touchdown catch right in the bucket from Drake Maye. He got open another one that Maye kind of overshot him, and they also had a drop in there from Kyle Williams. So not perfect, but the involvement was good. The touchdown catch was very nice. So you hope he can kind of, he had a really good first day, been kind of quiet since. So getting him more involved, you hope he can kind of take off. And then Stephon Diggs, a couple of touchdowns across the back end line. Pop Douglas still involved, and Kayshon Boutte ended Drake's day with a touchdown. And again, as you said, work in the low red area. A lot of these chemistry, good timing touchdowns. So kind of started spotty, I would say, from Drake. And I don't know, I wasn't watching him too closely in 7-on-7s because the offensive and defensive lines are going 1-on-1. I don't know if you caught any of the 7s, but it sounded like he was a little spotty accuracy wise. And then you even saw it kind of transition into 11s, full team, that that little inconsistent, but then I thought he ended the day really well. Again, the touchdown to Boutte, touchdown to Diggs in the real low red area when they were in high red area, the Kyle Williams and Diggs touchdown. So I thought it was kind of down to start for Drake, but he rebounded nicely again, especially in the low red area.
I'd agree with that. Yeah, there were some sprays early on, bounced back really well. I'll say this, like, you like seeing the way he's bouncing back. That's encouraging, because last year there were times where he'd make a mistake and then that was kind of it for him for the day. Like, he wouldn't be the same player after. Not the case now. And it's not like he's made these massive mistakes. As Mike Reese pointed out on Sports, I'm knock on wood, still no interceptions so far in camp. He had that one on the first day that probably should have been picked, that was dropped by Jabril Peppers. But since then, he really hasn't put the ball in harm's way. When he's missed, it's just been sprays. Like, it's just the ball's not close to where the receiver is. It's an accuracy thing. So you like seeing him bounce back the way he has. But I feel like every day we're talking about Drake Maye bouncing back, and what was one of the problems for this team last year, especially in the games that Drake Maye started. They would start slow and they, kind of start to build up as the game went on. But at that point, they put themselves in too much of a hole. So I still kind of want to see Drake Maye come out and like light it up from the beginning. Off top of my mind, really hasn't been a practice that he's done that. Obviously, the check down practice, I mean, he was kind of slicing and dicing, but it wasn't anything down the field. So a good day, like, don't get me wrong, a good day, but I still want to see him come out and just like have that wall to wall, wire to wire practice where it's just like, yeah, today Drake Maye was the guy, right? He was
It was
awesome,
Drake
and
May
we're
day.
not putting qualifiers on it or talking about. I don't want to talk about him bouncing back. I just want to talk about him being good.
Yeah, like unquestioned, just plugger of the day for Drake May.
Right.
There. But
He still doesn't have one, does he?
I think he
Or did we
got
give
it.
him one for the check down day?
He got it in the check down day because he was really efficient in that. And again,
Yeah,
taking
he
care of
has
the
one.
football, I think is a big
Yeah.
plus what you've seen. But still some sprays here and there. So you're waiting for just that full complete Drake May day. Even the day where he had a couple long touchdowns, there were some inaccuracy issues early. So
Yeah.
waiting to see that full Drake May day. But I would say it's mostly been positive. And, with him and Josh Dobbs had a good day today, maybe one of his best days of the summer, ended it with that touchdown
Thought
to
it was
Javon
his best
Baker,
day of the summer.
and then one to G Scott too. And with both of those guys, it felt like today they were on the move a lot. And yesterday too, these first fully padded practices, a lot of play action as you would expect, but they're on the move a lot of bootlegs, some of that read zone option stuff. And Josh Dobbs even said after practice, Josh McDaniels wants to use our athleticism. He wants to get us on the move. And, when we can smell blood down there in the red area, like we want to go for it. We want to use our athleticism to our advantage, which I think is great news. After the whole designed run thing with Drake May last year, are they going to run him or not? Like and we've heard him say, they've been watching this Cam Newton, Josh McDaniels offense. So I think you're starting, we're not going to get the full picture, obviously, but I think you're starting to kind of see how Josh plans to use these guys and use their athleticism to his advantage in their offense there.
Can I give you another lowercase after the Javon Baker one, another very lowercase whispered take off of something you just said?
Go for it.
Third tight end battle, right? So Austin Hooper was back today, which is good to see. So we saw a little less of those guys, but Jack Westover, G. Scott, CJ Dupree, who am I missing? Shaheem Bell. Who's been the best of that four? Because it had been kind of unclear, but I think I'm ready to say who the best of the four has been.
I'd say, Westover's still rolling with the ones, but
Westover's still getting the most reps, but who's been the most impressive?
Back-to-back days with G. Scott touchdowns?
Correct. And you know what? There's been a couple times where he gets the ball, he gets targeted with the defender right on his back, and he's catching through contact regularly. He's not letting defenders get to the football even when they're right there, which is not easy. So didn't really do much as a blocker to stand out, good or bad. It's mostly been in the red zone. We haven't seen him really run the full field route tree a ton and, get targeted like that, but it may be by default as much as anything else, but low case G, good. Couple days for G. Scott. Again, I'm a credit where credit's due guy in camp. Is G. Scott going to make the team? I don't know. Probably not. He might be on the practice squad. But when a guy has a good day or two, I think he deserves to be mentioned. Just like if a guy's a bad day or two, he deserves to be mentioned. So just credit where credit's due. G. Scott's had a couple nice days here. Credit to him.
Definitely. I think, both of Josh Dobbs' last touchdown passes, or both of his passes, his last pass in each of the last 2 days, touchdown to G. Scott in the red area there. So he's maybe gaining a little bit momentum there. And you knew he had that ability as a pass catcher, right? Like a former high recruit as a wide receiver to Ohio State. So if they can keep getting that out of him, that would be encouraging there. But I will mention, Javon Baker, you got the full kind of Javon Baker experience in one period today, because he goes up and over Marcellus Dial, a beautiful, fade touchdown grab. You see all the ability. And then 3 plays later, they get to the line of scrimmage, and Josh Dobbs literally has to turn around and signal the timeout. And then he goes right up to Javon Baker because Javon Baker can't get lined up correctly. So, you have to burn a timeout there because of a mental mistake. So that was just kind of the full Javon Baker experience. You see the athletic ability. Unfortunately, then, there's a mental error there. So that was his day. He had another catch earlier from Dobbs, a couple targets deep downfield that he weren't able to bring in. But Baker, Polk still out there, just one catch. And anything else from those pass catchers that stood out to you?
Again, just Austin Hooper being back.
Yeah, and involved too, right out of the gate.
Yeah. Like definitely. He didn't seem limited, like he seemed fully back.
Yeah. And I saw some people talking about Efton Chisholm in the chat. Pretty quiet from him. He caught a ball today from Ben Woldridge. Running with the 2s and 3s, like he gets open a ton, watching him still. He's a tough cover. Just the ball hasn't been finding him as much. as it was this spring. So we're still waiting for maybe the Efton Chisholm takeover day against the 2s and 3s, but maybe that comes when they're working in between the 20s and not just in the red area again there. But that's the Chisholm update. So quarterbacks, pass catchers, let's get into the trenches. I think the big news along the offensive line was rookie Jared Wilson. We've talked a lot about him and his involvement right out of the gate to start the summer here. But today they go to one-on-ones, and he is the first left guard up. He punches. He has a great punch against Milton Williams and kind of stuns him. And then he has 2 reps against Christian Barmore. He wins. And then they get into team, and it's still Jared Wilson first up at left guard. Now, there was a rotation there. It was kind of like Jared Wilson would have 2 plays, and then Cole Strange would come in. And then the second time, the first offense would go, right? Like, so it would go Drake with Jared Wilson, and then Cole Strange, and then Josh Dobbs would go, and then Drake would come back in, and Jared Wilson would be at center with Caden Wallace at left guard. So a lot of rotation, but Jared Wilson was the first left guard up today, and that was the first time we've seen that, Barth, in this competition along the interior.
Well, he's now been the first left guard up and the first center up because he did that the other day. So, I mean, and I kept saying this last week. Okay, he's getting all these reps, which is good. They clearly like him. Now he just has to prove that trust is justified, right? And because the performance has to back it up. The performance has backed it up. He's been great. He's looked dominant in the run game. You really see how his athleticism plays in the run game. He's held up at the pass game. He has had the 2 bad snaps. And by the way, there's another one today with Garrett Bradbury. So maybe we should be talking more about Drake Maye in that regard now that it's happened with multiple centers. But, you know, he's making a charge toward a starting spot. And then it's going to come down to Garrett Bradbury, who got banged up today. And we can talk about that. Or Cole Strange, but so far everything he's done has justified the early usage he's gotten.
Definitely. Yeah. So you mentioned Bradbury kind of rolled up on late, clearly hobbled. Now it was towards the end of practice, so he didn't go to the medical shed in the backfield there, but he was talking with trainers, kind of testing that ankle out. He didn't do the end of practice conditioning. So that's something to monitor. If that's an ankle injury or something along those lines, then maybe you need Jared Wilson at center, and then you're looking at Caden Wallace or Cole Strange at left guard. So we'll keep watching, see if Garrett Bradbury is healthy. Morgan Moses also left early today. Are you just...
He left very early. He didn't even make it to 11s.
Yeah, it didn't seem like an injury. He didn't leave with a trainer. So do you think they're still just, we have a 34-year-old veteran who still had that knee issue or surgery this offseason. Do you think they're still just kind of easing Morgan Moses into this thing, or should we start to be a little bit concerned that we're getting a lot of rotation and not a lot of not a consistent amount of Morgan Moses at right tackle in this competitive stuff?
Well, look, even when you're easing a guy in, usually he's still on the field, like standing out there, right? He doesn't go back in the facility. So the fact he went off on his own means it's probably not that bad. At daylight today, you wonder about how the heat is affecting guys, obviously, but no, he's an important player. They need him. Demontre Jacobs has not had a great camp and probably hasn't been talked about as much because he's the backup. But if there's something wrong with Morgan Moses, like they don't necessarily have a contingency plan. They're just back to where they were last year. You could say a little more at left tackle because they have Yasir Durant. Although he got hurt today too.
He left with an injury today too.
And then who's the next? I guess maybe Marcus Bryant mixes in somewhere. But, you're not that far away from Demontre Jacobs and Vidarian Lowe's on PUP. But, you get what I'm saying, right? So, lowercase c concern. It's early in camp. If he's still in and out of the lineup by the time we get to, the week leading up to that 3rd preseason game, the dress rehearsal and all that, we can raise that to a capital C. But it's notable. I'm not going to say it's not notable. I'm not going to say it's nothing. It's definitely not nothing. There's still time for it to become nothing, for it to just become a camp storyline and not a big picture thing. But it is a thing. I don't think you can say it's not a thing.
Yeah. You'd obviously prefer him to be out there, but
right.
It's not to the point
out
where
there, at least standing by, not in the facility.
Yeah. And today was the first time where he just left completely. Usually they rotate Demontre Jacobs in and Morgan Moses is still out there.
Right.
But today he left completely. So we'll see what happens with that. But Last thing on the offensive line, any Will Campbell thoughts today after, he had a good first day in padded practices? Anything from not Cole Strange, anything from Will Campbell on day 2 of padded practices that stood out to you?
I mean, I thought he was solid. He got beat once by Keon White in pass pro. Besides that, good in one-on-ones, held up well in the run game. Didn't see any pass protection issues from him besides that. He still looks competitive. He still looks very competitive. It's not perfect, but I would say for a first-round pick, he's more or less where you want him to be. There's work to do. There's going to be work to do with whoever they drafted. But he doesn't look behind. He doesn't look behind schedule or out of place or anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely better in one-on-ones, I would say, than he was yesterday, but Keon did get him pretty bad down in near the goal line on one of those pass plays. Pushed him right backwards. So that was kind of the big down for Will Campbell on the day, but still competitive, I would say, especially in the run game. A lot of stuff away from him today, though, which probably not by design. That just kind of seemed how it happened, which was unfortunate.
Well, they ran behind him a lot yesterday, so maybe there's something to that.
They did, yeah. So maybe they flipped sides there. So, but still, I would say positive first 2 days there for Will Campbell as a whole.
Oh yeah, no, he's on track.
Yep. All right. You mentioned the bad snap by Bradbury. Anything else on the offensive side of the football, or we can flip over here?
Just one play off the top of my head. I think I was standing next to you when this happened. They're in the red zone, and they ran a toss to the right with Travion Henderson. I think it was with the second unit. But the point being, like, the defense had the edge sealed. Like, it really looked like he was going to get blown up for nothing, and he just hit another gear. It just squeaked by on the outside and ended up, they were probably at, like, the 15-yard line. It's tough to tell because they're not live tackling, and guys will pull up at the last second. He either gets tackled just at the one or pushed out just at the one, or he scores. He scored on this play because, again, they're trying to not put guys on the ground. But the speed it goes back to my fast and take, right? You can't just be fast. There has to be something else after that in the sentence. And his ability to know how to use his speed. So when he got drafted, there's a clip I put on Twitter. A lot of people have probably seen the play at this point. The screen, I don't remember if it was in the semifinal or the championship of the college football playoff. Remember the long screen touchdown?
He just housed completely.
Yeah. Was that against Texas or was that against Notre Dame?
I think that was Notre Dame because it was like, I think Notre Dame finally got on the.
Was it Notre Dame?
Was it Texas? Maybe it was.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. And it was at the end of the half.
Yeah.
Whatever. If you go watch the play, if you look up Travion Henderson screen touchdown college football playoff, it'll come up. Right. It's not just that he has the breakaway speed. If when he catches the ball, starts running full speed, it's a 15-yard gain because he's good. The blockers aren't out in front of him. He's going to get tackled. He's patient. He lets the blockers set up. He identifies the hole. And then when he hits the hole, boom, then the afterburners come on. And again, there's a difference between being fast and being quick and, knowing how to use your speed. And I thought that was a really good play of he read the field well. He recognized the angle well, kind of picked up where his blockers were, like all that ball carrier vision stuff. And then he was able to find that little crease to get outside and make it a play. They're not all going to turn into touchdowns, but you can turn, what would be no gain into 5 yards like that, or it would be 2 yards into 10 yards like that if you're really patient. So, that kind of shit. So I'm still from swearing with Zoe all day, 98.5 Sports on YouTube channel. If you haven't seen it, that kind of stuff is going to trade. Like, that's going to help him early in his NFL career, especially behind an offensive line that, again, we just said it's had a good start to camp, but is going to have its rough patches. Is nowhere near perfect. So that was just, again, this jaw-dropping play that people are trying to get video of and sharing all over social media? No. But I just think it was a good example of what makes Henderson difference maker. I don't know if you remember that play, if you want to touch on it, but I just thought it was a good peek into kind of what they want him to be.
No, definitely. There's always like one or two plays a game or per practice where you're just like, that guy moves different than everyone else on the field. And that was definitely it today. Because again, it was only, I don't know, it might have went in the score sheet as a 6 or 7 yard handoff or run, but it was better than a 2 or 3 yard loss. And right, that keeps the offense on schedule and everything.
It should have been a loss. Yeah.
So you see that ability that just the burners to get on the edge. I pulled up that play. It was against Texas. So it was right after Texas scored. near the end of the
Yeah,
half.
it was right before the half.
And then he just housed 175 yards on the screen. So if you haven't seen that, go watch that. That's Travion Henderson, maybe at his best right there, and what you hope he can bring to the offense there. But all right, let's jump over to the defense very quickly. Before we do that, though, I want to tell you guys about our friends over at Prize Picks and Do You Know Ball, because soon we can be putting Travion Henderson in our Prize Picks lineup when football season is back. But for now, we're getting through the rest of the summer with baseball, and you can spice up the action on Prize Picks, the best place to cash in on your favorite sports. Just pick more or less on player stats like hits, home runs, strikeouts, and more for your shot to win up to 2,000 times your cash today. And even take advantage of their weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday tonight, where projections can be discounted from 15 to 25%. The Red Sox back in action against the Twins. Hopefully no ninth inning rain delay tonight. But Roman Anthony, he's back. He's feeling it. He's hitting the ball well again, so we're still rolling more than half a hit in my lineup, or maybe even more than 1.5 total bases, 1.5 RBIs, half a home run if you're feeling really risky. So pair that with someone else. Any sport that's going on right now, women's basketball, I think they're back from All-Star break soon, I want to say. So Roman Anthony, other baseball players playing the Twins, Carlos Correa, Royce Lewis, anyone, put that in your lineup for a winner there. So download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup, all over on Prize Picks. Run your game. All right. Let's jump over to the defense. Someone said whoever told Zoe he was allowed to swear on that show is a genius.
That would be Jim Louth. Jim Louth gets all the credit.
There you go. Go see Zoe Unfiltered there on 95 Sports Hub YouTube page after this. But all right, in the defense, no Christian Gonzalez, no Carlton Davis in the secondary today. We did get word, a couple reports that Gonzalez was a hamstring injury, so what we kind of expected. Doesn't seem too serious. Week 1, not in jeopardy as of now. We did see about halfway through practice, he came out with a leg compression, leg sleeve. Didn't seem to have a noticeable limp, seemed in good spirits, walked the field and signed autographs after practice. So it looks like they avoided a serious injury with Christian Gonzalez, but not out there today. Yeah. Carlton Davis not still out there. So a lot of opportunities for these depth corners. So a lot of Alex Austin, good amount of Marcellus Dial, and the guy we've been talking about a lot here through camp, underrated, DJ James, a guy they signed to their practice squad last September. He sticks around, and now he's getting a lot of opportunities. Had a pass breakup on Kendrick Bourne and one of the, I forget if it was one of the 2-on-2 they were doing or 7-on-7s, but
it was in the 2-on-2.
2-on-2, but another, play on the ball from DJ James, which he's done a lot this camp so far. So, Barth, what'd you like or see in that kind of cornerback rotation without Gonzo and Davis today?
I thought James had a good day. I wouldn't be surprised if that gap between him and Marcellus Dial for the reps, like Alex Austin's the third guy, top guy when Davis and Gonzalez are out. I don't expect that to change. James maybe pushing Dial, I could see. Now, Dial's also a key special teams guy for them, so we're going to have to see how that looks and where James is in that picture. But I think DJ James has made the most of these opportunities. And so he's certainly become, every year there's one of those players to watch that kind of comes out of nowhere. Last year was Del Pettis. Del Pettis just kind of had a couple solid days right when the pads came on, and nobody was talking about Del Pettis before that. And everybody's like, oh, hey, this guy Del Pettis can make some plays, and then when you know what, he makes the team. So I'm not saying that DJ James is guaranteed to make the team, but he feels like that guy that's kind of emerged in the padded practices is, hey, we should be taking this guy seriously. This guy is not just here to be a body. Like, this guy's here competing, and he's making the most of the chance he's getting. So that's kind of where I'm at with DJ James. Had a couple solid days, long way to go. But another credit where credit's due guy, maybe a little more than that. Yeah,
absolutely. And as we said with Gonzalez yesterday, like, this could be maybe a September 7th type of thing. It sounds, I think Karen Garegian had it that they're taking it just day by day with him. They don't want to put a timetable on it. So it wouldn't surprise me if he is, they play this cautious and we don't see Gonzo maybe through the 2 joint practices. So a lot of opportunities will be had for these guys. They won't get Terry McLaurin probably in Washington unless he signs next week. But, you go to Minnesota, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, those guys, like a lot of good competition could be coming for those depth corners to try to battle out for maybe one or two spots behind your top three, behind Alex Austin and DJ James, certainly taking advantage of those opportunities in the early stages here. So that was kind of the corner rotation, again, without Gonzo and Carlton Davis. Anything, with the pads back on, anything in the defensive line, in the trenches stand out to you specifically on Tuesday there?
Up and down, Caleb, and it's just stuff that continued from yesterday. Caleb on Chason has arguably been the best player on the field since the Pats came on. I don't know if you disagree, Brian. Certainly the best player on defense. Had another sack and a half today. It was against the second unit, but that's what you want to see from a guy that's trying to prove he belongs in the starting lineup. He's clearly so much better than the second teamers. So He looked, I think their pass rush package, their core pass rush package, we know the interior is going to be Barmore and Milton Williams. Keon White will be involved somehow. Will Harold Landry be in that mix? Will Braden Swinson be in that mix? Like the edge is a little more less clear. And Caleb on Chason's pushing for a role in that. And if he can be, a double-digit sack guy, that changes a lot for them. I don't know that they have a guy at this point that you point to and say he's going to get double-digit sacks. There's guys that can. Barmore can. And I'll get more to Milton Williams in a second, but Milton Williams can if he's healthy and he stays on the field. Landry's done it in the past. That was a few years in an ACL tear ago, but he's done it. But those are all guys that can. Like Chason, he's never had more than 5 in a season. So saying he's going to do it just outright after a couple practices is premature, but he's just been really impressive. Now, I would say if he does, I wouldn't necessarily rush to re-sign him. I might say that's a bit of a Mark Anderson situation and let somebody else give him the bag. But for this year, it'd be great. On the flip side of that, I don't know where you're at with Milton Williams. We talked about this coming into camp and coming into the padded practices. We know he's an explosive athlete and he can be a factor in the pass game. Really didn't play the run in Philly. When he did, it wasn't great. And he has been a non-factor against the run these first couple of days. Like he's not been good stopping the run. They've run at him with success. If he's going to justify that contract, and he talked about it, Mike Vrabel talked about it at that introductory press conference, he has to be a 3-down player. Doesn't mean he has to play 100% of the snaps, but he has to be able to play in all situations. And if he can't stop the run, you can't have him out there against the run. So it's just a couple days of camp. It is something he's going to need to work on because, again, he didn't do it a lot in Philly. He was a rotational player. But he's got to be able to stop the run. And he hasn't been able to so far.
Yeah, no, that was the big kind of question mark coming in with that expanded role, if he would be able to do that. And definitely hasn't been the maybe promising performance you were looking for in the first 2 days of pads, but it's first 2 days of pads. Let's see what happens. I do.
There's still time. There's still time to turn it around, but not the start you're looking for. Although Kyrus Tonga was really good. So if he can't play in all situations, like that sucks because he paid him to. But maybe at least Kyrus Tonga will come in and stop the bleeding, because you can't have, if they're fully healthy, their pass defense front to back is excellent. Their pass rush is a B, but they can hitch in different ways. And then that secondary is so good, it's going to amplify that pass rush. I think if fully healthy, they will be a difficult team to throw the ball on this year. I believe that. They should be a top half of the league. If everybody stays healthy all year, maybe top 10 pass defense. But if teams can still do what the Jaguars did to in London last year, which is run the ball 17 times in a row, that's not going to matter. Right? So they being able to stop the run is very, very important for them. And Milton Williams is kind of an X factor. He's a little bit of a wild card in that regard.
Yep. I did think they did a 3-on-3, 3 offensive linemen, 3 defensive linemen drill early in practice. And Barmore was back out there participating in that. And he was, just dominating that period.
He looks great.
He
looks great. Not worried about him.
Yeah, definitely good to see him back in those more competitive periods as they're still kind of easing him back, and that he had that level of impact too against the run. And you mentioned Tonga. He was one of the best players on the field today as a run stuffer in those 11-on-11 periods, and even as a pass rusher. We beat Garrett Bradbury once in one-on-ones for the second straight day, which we've talked a lot about Garrett Bradbury's struggles as a pass protector last year, but still you don't think of Tonga as a guy who's going to get after the passer. So he had a nice one-on-one rep. And then he was in the backfield right away in teamwork. I we were right next to each other for that. We think it was more of a offensive line miscommunication, and he just kind of walked right in. But he was in the right spot. So and he forced a throw away from Drake Maye. So you give Tonga credit for that. So he was very impressive.
It's funny
today along the D line.
I've heard. Yeah, and I've heard, defensive linemen kind of say this. I don't know if this is the case for everybody, but like you're so ready to engage that sometimes when that hole opens up because there is a miscommunication, you're almost still looking for contact. So having the awareness to just go unblocked, no, he had a very good day today.
Yep. I think Keon White, we mentioned that rep against Will Campbell. He's still disruptive along the edge there. So that was kind of the big stuff in the trenches, that cornerback rotation. Anyone else on the defensive side of the football stand out to you or catch your eye for anything?
No, that's it.
All right.
I think we got everything there.
I had we mentioned Braden Swinson yesterday. I had him for a run stuff today. So just give him credit for that rookie on the stat sheet there. But all right, we'll end with special teams. We mentioned yesterday Parker Romo, all 6 field goals, went 6 for 6. Today it was Borgalis's turn, got all 6, same distance, 30 to 52 yards, 6 for 6. So big kind of bounce back because the last time we saw him kick, which was 3 or 4 days ago at this point, he went 2 of 4. He had 2 tough misses. And now, good bounce back, I think, for Borgalis, 6 of 6 today as that kicker competition continues to roll on here.
Yeah. Changing up the format. I like the other format, honestly, because I think it puts more pressure on them and I want to see these guys with pressure. But yeah, it's going to be back and forth and it's going to be we won't be able to do who won the day. It's going to be more who won the week, it seems like.
Yep. But both 6 for 6.
Although we have the in-stadium practice coming up, which we know was the Super Bowl for training camp kickers. The legendary Quinn Nordine.
The Quinn Nordine
9 for 9.
Oh, yeah. What a legendary performance. But
doubt he would have gotten plugger of the day for that. That was
100%.
That's one of the where were you moments in Patriots history.
100%. But I kind of like the other format too. Just because you get that back and forth, you get that competitiveness. I hope they do. Remember last year they did it where they had the whole team surround the kickers and they were yelling and screaming. That was pretty cool too. I wonder if they bring that back. But that's where we're at. Kicker competition, 6 for 6 for Borgalis today. So good bounce back from him against Parker Romo. But all right, we'll wrap up. Plugger of the day, Barth. Who you got?
This is a tough one because I said this to you before you came on. This was a day where there were a lot of little things. It wasn't necessarily one big thing. I'll give it to K'Lavon Chaisson again.
Okay. So he is now
I thought he was excellent. Was a force. He's tied with Pop Douglas now for the lead.
2-timer.
Who you got?
I'll give it to. I'm between an offensive and defensive lineman. I'll give it to Jared Wilson. Just the 3 reps and one-on-ones, Barmore, Milton Williams to beat those guys in the starting lineup now at multiple spots, continuing that. I thought he was really, really good today. So I'll give Jared Wilson my plugger of the day for day 6.
So I don't have the full list in front of me because I'm not at I'm out. I'm not at my usual setup, but I'll read the list to everybody tomorrow. We still have Chaisson and Pop are the only ones with multiple wins still. 2-timers.
They're in the
I
lead.
I almost went Diggs. Who's the other guy you were going to give it to, by the way?
Tonga.
Okay. I almost went Diggs, so he would have had second. So we'll see.
Yep. Couple touchdowns today. So Pop and Chaisson, 2-timers. They're in the front for plugger of the year award. Did you do that at camp? Whoever has the most plugger of the days gets a plugger.
No, because it was like 2-week sessions, so you could go some kids went the whole summer, some kids went 4 weeks, some kids went 2 weeks. So it was no, they didn't do that. It was just plugger of the day. I know people would keep track and at the end of the summer be like, I got this many plugger of the days this summer, but everybody would lie about it. So wasn't super reliable.
We're keeping a hard count, so we will have a plugger of the year at the end of training camp.
We'll
get them a certificate or something. I know they'll.
It's just a training camp thing. We're not bringing it it's not going to be games because it's camp. So it'll end of the summer, plugger of the summer. We'll have that
camp fun. Got to pass the camp time somehow. So plugger of the day.
That's right.
All right, that's day 6. That's day 2 in pads. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll see if they're in pads. If they're not in pads tomorrow, they'll probably be in pads Thursday. One of the next 2 days, they should be in pads before that Friday in-stadium practice. So we'll see if they go 3 days in a row. But no matter what happens, we will be back to recap it all. So make sure you're locked on to Patriots Press Pass. Like and subscribe to the channel. Subscribe wherever else you get your podcast. If you're on audio only, Spotify, Apple Music, anywhere else, again, you get your podcast. And if you are on YouTube watching Patriots Press Pass, also turn on those notifications so you know exactly when we are going live. Whether we're with Mike and Taylor at the stadium or here after practice, they can kind of pop up quick at this time of the year. So turn on those notifications again so you know exactly when we are going live. And you can also follow Barth on Twitter at RealAlexBarth. Head over to 985thesportshub.com for his training camp coverage there. And you can follow me on Twitter at I am Brian Hines, and head over to patspulpit.com for our Patriots training camp coverage online there as well. So thanks again, everyone, for jumping in with us today, and we will see you guys back tomorrow.
Bye.